All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff Vosick. I am the Chief Marketing Officer and partner in crime to Mr. Alan Basinger, the CEO and founder at GDW Inc. And there's probably a lot of people that are on here that may not know who Alan is, so I'm going to talk about Alan just a little bit, let you know a little bit more about Alan, but a few housekeeping things here as we get started this evening, at least this evening where I am and where Alan is. I know we have a worldwide audience, which is really, really cool. But yeah, make sure that you close your doors, turn off your phones, turn off your iPads, turn off your other tablet devices, turn off your cats, your dogs, your TVs, your kids, and really want you to focus and engage in what we're going to be covering this evening. You're on here because you saw an email, because you saw a post in the Facebook group. You know there's a lot of change going on in the industry, and it's very important that you get the information and take action on the information that we're going to be discussing tonight. And actually, you really want to be engaged because, as always, we're going to open it up for question and answer at the end. So we definitely want you to be engaged in the content so that whatever questions you need for clarification, for clarity, whatever, so that you can go take action and implement what we're going to be covering. You want to make sure you're engaged so those questions come up for you and then we get those answered for you. One other housekeeping thing, speaking of questions, we don't open up the lines on these webinars. It typically presents a challenge, then kind of slows down the flow of the webinar, and somebody's headset isn't working, or somebody's dog's barking in the background, or some other kind of technical challenge or something like that. So we found the best way to answer questions on these webinars, if you have not been on one of our webinars before, is on the GoToWebinar control panel. You will see a questions section. And what you want to do is just type in your question in the little area where you can type in under the questions section. And then at the appropriate time during the webinar, we will answer the questions. We always answer, every question. Sometimes if there's a duplicate, or something like that, and it's already been answered, we may not do that. But Alan is known for staying on to get all your questions answered. That's what he's all about. That's what we're all about. That's what we put these up for. We're giving you this opportunity. So if you ask a question, we're not going to overlook it when we're giving you that opportunity. So definitely don't hesitate. There's no such thing as a stupid question. What's up, Mike? And so that's how you want to do the question. So a little bit about Alan, for those of you that don't know Alan, and then I will get out of the way and let him come on here. Alan is a 16-year online digital retail veteran. There are very few people in the world that I know. In fact, I personally know, and I know a lot of people. I've been in business for a very long time. I know a lot of people, and I know two people on the planet, Alan and one other friend of mine, that have the level of knowledge that Alan has. And there's 7 billion people on the planet. So and I know a lot of people. I've been in business for a long time, so that really says something. He's done everything. He's seen everything. He's had very successful online retail, digital retail businesses in multiple niches. And this is really important, especially for what we're going to be talking about tonight. Multiple niches, multiple channels, multiple verticals, multiple markets, multiple countries. And that's really important for you to know, especially for what we're going to be talking about tonight. Alan is a husband, a father. He hails from the Austin, Texas area and has a passion for flying. He's got a plane. He likes to pilot his plane and all kinds of other good stuff. Great man, very much a caretaker and a giver. And that's what he's really going to be doing on the webinar tonight for you. So with that being said, I'm going to get it out of the way and bring on the man of the hour, Mr. Alan Basinger. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man, pretty good. Been real busy. Q4 is in full effect. Products are coming in from all over the place, and we are launching new products left and right. and really trying to build the heck out of this business. It's been pretty crazy. Those of you that follow the Facebook group and have seen how crazy it is around here. We are just growing like crazy because of you guys. We want to thank you for that, and let you know that you know, the reason why we're doing this webinar is because since day one of me, even, I mean, let's see, I've had a Facebook account, what, maybe 2 years, where I've done anything and I've actually been on it. You know, I've had businesses that have Facebook accounts, and I had other people that managed it, and I never went on because, to me, Facebook just eats up a lot of time. And time is a luxury that when you're running multiple companies, you don't get a lot of. But you know, I think some of you might remember the story. I was stuck at a couple $1 million a year on Amazon and eBay. And I was trying to expand, and I was looking for a mentor, someone who could help get me over the hump. And I was hoping to make it happen. Somebody told me to go on Facebook, look around, because there was a lot of stuff happening on Facebook. And I did, and I saw a lot of people on Facebook talking about getting rich quick, and you know, via e-commerce. And I'd been doing e-commerce for quite a while at that point, and then run, you know, at least 5 companies in different sectors. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started voice over IP companies. I had a sign shop. I had a lighting company, lighting and sound company. I've had 2 call centers. So I've been around a little bit, and was looking, and just I didn't see too many people who were promoting what I was doing, and it was surprising. And I got fortunate enough. I met some good mentors, people that were doing extremely well and had very, very large businesses that I was able to follow. And our businesses has skyrocketed and grown in ways that I never even dreamed of at that time. But one of the things that I didn't see people doing was selling on multiple channels. And one of the things you learn being in business is that if you're what we kind of jokingly refer to as a one-trick pony, basically you have one product or one sales channel or one niche, you generally are at risk for your traditional business challenges. Businesses are very cyclical, products are very cyclical, and when the cycle of whatever you're doing hits a hard spot, you run into the wall, and you're having some challenges, which they come. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, and we'll talk a little bit about some of that stuff. You basically can't really survive. It's very, very difficult to survive, and I know this because it's happened to me. I mean, I've had that. I owned telemarketing rooms in the United States, the call centers in the United States in the 80s and 90s, when that industry moved to India and other countries, Malaysia, the Philippines, places like that. And it was very hard to survive because the globe was changing and the industry was changing, and we didn't have anything else. That was what we did, and it's not fun to do that. So one of the things that I did with this industry when I moved into e-commerce and went 100% e-commerce, for those of you that don't know, we were a retail store in Houston, much like a discount warehouse. I liquidated retailers, so it's kind of the original retail arbitrage. I actually had contracts with Costco, and we liquidated Sam's Clubs as well, but mostly Costco. They had better product, and we sold that in a retail store, and then I sold it on eBay, and that was what we did, and we were pretty successful until about 08, 09, when the economy shifted, and that gave us a little bit of pain, but we didn't die because we were selling in multiple channels and we had a lot of different products. So that helped us quite a bit, but we could see the writing on the wall for retail, and I shifted the company, pivoted to 100% e-commerce, and have been doing that ever since. And so, you know, we've definitely been running for a while. But one of the things right off the bat I knew was that I couldn't rely on eBay as my only sales channel. I had been banned from Amazon for 4 years because an employee made a mistake in a flat file, and those retail arbitrage products are supposed to be sold as used, not new, because they have been previously purchased. If you purchase something from a retail store legally, you can't sell it as new anymore. And so Amazon didn't like that, and we were banned from Amazon. And most people know the story. It took me 4 years to get back on, and I haven't been knocked off again since. But I knew that you know, we couldn't stand just being in a single sales channel. eBay constantly changed the rules over the period of time that I'd been on, and I've been on eBay since the 90s, and had watched those changes happen. And it's their sandbox, not mine. And so because it's their sandbox, they can change the rules as much as they want. And we can whine and cry about it, and we can be upset and frustrated with it, but we can't do anything about it. And that goes for all the sales channels: eBay, Amazon, Sears, Rakuten, you name it. Walmart.com is the big one everybody's looking at now. We've applied and been accepted, and are in the transition period with them now. And so they have a massive set of rules that they can change at any time, and basically it's their sandbox. It's their business, and it's their brand. And so, so although it's a good sales channel, and we don't plan on throwing away sales channels, it is something that we need to really think about when we're building a real business. And we're building something that can last, and it can weather the normal storms of business. So kind of that leads to this presentation and why I do things the way I do, and it may be different than a lot of other people. And the reason we put this Bulletproof Your Ecom Business presentation together, and why we're talking about this, is because we see the writing on the wall with Amazon. And most of you, if you've been on Amazon, are starting to see that as well. eBay isn't much different, and neither are any of the other sales channels. More and more, they're tightening things up and making it more difficult for new players to enter the business. So in order to help weather those storms and bulletproof our businesses, we need to have a plan. So let's talk a little bit about e-commerce and living in this new change economy. And change economy is kind of something Jeff and I joked about, because we're talking about all the changes that are happening, and like I said earlier, you know, it's really easy to get started on some of these sales platforms, but they're going to change regularly, and you have to be flexible enough to manage those changes and weather what happens and adjust to the change. And so we've kind of evolved into this change economy. And so it's causing us to change our business structures. You know, when I first started on Amazon, nobody did launches. There was no pay-per-click campaign. There was no Amazon marketing services. There was none of that. It was, here's Amazon, do a good job, put your product up there, and make customers happy, and Amazon sends you traffic, and you sell more product. And if you have a product that people are looking for, and you understood a little bit about keywords and titles, you could and made good pictures, you could do really well, and you could sell a whole lot, right? As we see things happening today, more and more, the change became the launch services, or people using. I think probably one of the early ones a couple years ago that I saw was the super URL. That was a big one. Everybody was doing super URLs to trick Amazon's algorithms into identifying your product as potentially fitting a search for a specific keyword. And Amazon soon caught on to that and made their change to address it. And then the launch services came, where you would launch for reviews, and Amazon has made their change for that. And again, we're seeing those kind of changes happen, and we all have to be able to adjust and change to continue to survive and thrive. But one of the changes that I think people need to think about is how we change, not just changing on Amazon, but changing our philosophy or the way we think about building our businesses. Change is not a bad thing, and in all honesty, I thrive on change. Change is something that I expect, I look forward to. You know, sometimes it's not fun, but change brings opportunity. And I'll give you a prime example. When Amazon shut off the Q4 to brand new FBA sellers, everybody was freaking out. And to be honest, I have a brand spanking new Amazon account for my brand new e-commerce manager. I have a young lady named Barbara Morrison that we just hired, and she had never done private label before. She had done some arbitrage and piggybacking. For those of you who don't know, arbitrage is basically buying existing brand products and putting them on, and piggybacking is basically piggybacking on an existing listing for an existing brand and trying to win the buy box to get some of the sales. And that's all she had ever done. She didn't have a whole lot of experience there, but she wasn't afraid of the interface. She was fairly smart. And I look for people that are 60% of the way there, and I can train them up. So I opened up a brand new Amazon store, sourced a bunch of products from China, and started teaching her by allowing her access to our mastermind group and the videos from our mastermind event in Austin last year, and also in a lot of these webinars where we're going over training, and started training her in the same philosophy and processes that we use in our company and that I train and teach everybody else. And she has done extremely well. But the change that happened for everybody else also happened for that account, because that brand new account that she's been working on didn't launch any products before the 10th of October. So it cannot use FBA until December 19th, right? And so basically that Amazon account just launched its first products 2 weeks and 1 day, 2 weeks and 2 days ago is when they went live. I think that's when it was. I posted some reports from inside the business report section on Amazon on Facebook on it today, and in a very short period of time, fulfilled by merchant, that Amazon account is starting to sell product. And one particular product, 3 variations and listings, is selling extremely well. And all it has is an auto PPC campaign. It has no Feedback Genius. It has no special tools. It just has good keywords and good photos and a good title, things like that. So, you know, we've had to adjust how we do things there because of that account, but also we were inundated with a lot of people who did not make the deadline and weren't going to be able to put their products up on Amazon for Q4, and they were asking about our Fulfilled by Merchant program. So that change actually gave us an opportunity to help those people when they needed help, at the same time potentially bring more business into the GDW brand and increase our revenues. So, you know, it has brought some massive opportunities to the company. So changes are good in many ways, but changes still change, and you have to be able to adjust, adapt, identify, and move forwards. So in the way I look at business from an overall business perspective is pretty simple. If you don't bulletproof your business, period, e-commerce or anything else, to this new change economy, if you don't adapt, you will become antiquated very quickly. I'm old enough to be around when you could launch a product and run it for a long time and do really well. You could start a business in a niche, and it took a long time for competition to come in and start, you know, slicing the pie up into smaller and smaller chunks. That's not happening today. Our technology is adapting extremely fast. Computers become obsolete extremely fast. Your cell phone is obsolete just about the same time you buy it. And business is moving faster than ever. So change is the norm, not the exception. If you change your e-commerce business and you adapt, you bulletproof your business as a whole, most likely you're going to end up being in the winner's circle. You know, I mean, it was kind of ironic. You look at, and I remember, you know, manufacturing industries in the United States were pretty good. My mother worked for a very large one in my teenage years, not in my younger years, but in my teenage years, my last couple of years of high school, she had a really good job at a union place and for a manufacturing company, and that manufacturer moved overseas. The economy or the landscape in the United States wasn't favorable for manufacturing, and it moved, and all those people that were laid off had a problem. They had been working in that, you know, in a manufacturing industry for a long time, and yet they were unable to find manufacturing jobs. And you know, one of the things that had to happen is they had to change. And the ones who changed and got re-educated and learned new things were able to go on and continue and do well with their lives. But people who didn't, they stagnated and they weren't able to move forward. And so, you know, change is important. So how have these winners shifted? Just to give you a rough idea, GDW, we adapted and applied something we call the 80-20 rule. If you've seen any of my other stuff, other webinars or other training, you know I talk a lot about this 80-20 rule in your product. The 80-20 rule has to do with 20% of your products or 20% of your investments making you 80% of your money. Another thing that we talk about is winning on the buy. That's another adaptation or something that we've done in our business to change the way we purchase our products so that we can be in a better position to beat our competitors. And then things like agile business and agile product development, being able to launch lots of products very quickly and then improve upon those products. These are philosophies that we use in our business across multiple sales and marketing channels and across multiple divisions of our business. Our business is not just e-commerce. It's also a third-party logistics company. It's also an event company. It's also a training company as well. And we, you know, I'm not afraid to look at even expanding even more. And 12 years ago, when I started this company, it was a retail store. So you can see that, you know, you have to be able to change to continue to move along the lines. And like the story I told earlier, you know, we went to 100% online about a little bit over 6 years ago. And with our third-party fulfillment, e-learning, and things like that, you can see we've made changes. Another guy, Ezra Firestone, many of you may know who he is. We actually saw him at Content and Commerce. And he's a partner and chief marketing officer at a brand called Boom by Cindy Joseph. And he was an on Amazon seller. That's what he did. And he did a bunch of training courses on how to sell on Amazon that were, frankly, pretty dang good. So, you know, he did good stuff on that. But now he's basically marketing and selling through Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. And so Amazon isn't his big thing. The Boom at Cindy Joseph is a very, very fast-growing $4+ million a year e-commerce brand, and it's not on Amazon. And there's many, many other brands that have been doing the same thing as GDW, Ezra. It's one of our past mastermind attendees, Kevin King. You know, a majority of his business is on his own website with his own products and his own brand. Then companies like Native Commerce that we've partnered with as their 3PL of choice, and its multiple sub-brands are all non-Amazon brands, and that just names a couple of them. We could go down a large list of very successful multi-million, 10, 20, up to $100 million a year in business that's off Amazon or runs in multiple channels. So what's common about all this? What's the common thread? GDW and all these other companies have basically solidified their position and bulletproof their businesses by going multi-channel in both sales and marketing. So we have multiple sales channels and we market in multiple marketing channels, be it Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, television, newspaper, print, you name it, email marketing. If you're not using all of the above strategy in marketing, it's definitely putting yourself in a position to be at risk because things change. We used to call it we used to call in the old days shotgun marketing, meaning you market everywhere all the time, like a shotgun that shoots out all those little bullets everywhere all the time. You don't just market in one place because things change, times change, and it puts yourself at risk. So, you know, that's the common thread and basically the point of this webinar. So how do you win? Because, you know, we've talked a lot about us and we've talked about some other people, but how do you win in this economy? One, you source your own products, your own private label products with your brand. If you're selling somebody else's product, you're not maximizing your profit potential. You're only solidifying their brand, not your own, and you're really not helping yourself. Private label products give you the best margin for the risk of capital than any other opportunities available. You market those products across multiple marketing channels like we just talked about: Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, just to name a few of the big ones out there. You sell those products across multiple sales channels, so it's Amazon, it's eBay, it may be your own Shopify store or Magento or OS Commerce or whatever that may be. Sears, Rakuten, just to name a few. Jet, if you decide you want to go into there, or even Walmart.com. And then you just repeat the process. Once you do that once you can make that happen on one sales channel and you've got that process down, you should multiply that across multiple sales channels as fast as you can. And just repeat the process with finding more products, source them, promote them across multiple sales channels, and sell those products, then do it again, or over and over and over again. Just to give you a rough idea, I was talking to a gentleman earlier on Facebook. Some of you may have saw the thread. He was talking about how he's managing 7,000 SKUs, and he was wondering how people are managing that many. And there was quite a few people that pinged in, and they were talking about one guy was managing 25,000 SKUs, another one 5,000 SKUs, 1,200. And my question to them wasn't how many was how, I don't care how many SKUs, it's what's the profit? How much money are you making per SKU per month? And when you look at, you know, drop shipping or selling somebody else's product and having that many SKUs, because most people who have that many SKUs are resellers. They're just picking up everything that the distributor has and putting it all online and selling it, which is a cool business model for them. But managing 7,500 SKUs to make $40 a month per SKU is a lot of work, and you need very expensive software to manage that many SKUs. You've got a lot more ordering. Logistically, it's a lot. And you know, so you look at that, and if you're making $40 a SKU, how much is that, Jeff? 40 times 7,000. So that's 28, and add another zero, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So $280,000 a month.
Yep.
To manage 7,000 SKUs, and with about 50 SKUs and 197 listings, because we did lots of variations. Variations meaning bundling, we were able to do twice that because we're selling private label products, and that was a couple years ago. So I'm just giving you a rough idea. A couple of years ago. Since then, now we're working on end of this year, hopefully 300 SKUs. We'll definitely have more listings than that across multiple sales channels. My goal is to have 400 SKUs, because at my profit per month per SKU, 400 SKUs equals $1 million a month, or $12 million a year. This is the power of private label, and why having a private label product, marketing that private label product across multiple marketing channels, and selling it across multiple sales channels and then repeating that over and over again with a solid process that works, I find to be, one, easier to manage and more profitable for my capital outlay. So, but I have never said that it's easy, and I'm not going to say it is, and I'm definitely not going to say that you're going to get rich quick. It takes hard work. Actually, Barbara Morrison, the young lady that I hired to become my e-commerce listing manager on Amazon, said it today when I asked her. We just looked over what she had been doing and what that account had done in 2 weeks with those 3 different products, and I asked her. I said, "So what do you think?" And she said, "Well, it's great, but it's hard work. You have to do the work, right?" And that's the truth, guys. Nothing's free. This works very well. The processes work really well, and you can do it, but you need to put in the work every single day. So what do we do to help you make that happen? Well, in my business, I'm not killing Amazon. It's just one of my sales channels, and it's a great channel to sell large volume, but it is a channel, not the channel, right? So we can sell a lot of volume on Amazon, but Amazon takes a big cut, right? For 2017, I plan my years out in advance. I'm not planning for next month right now. Next month is already planned for. We planned 2016 out at the end of 2015, and this year in Austin at our annual year-end mastermind, it's about planning 2017. Q4 is already moving. It's pretty much over. We're at the end of the year, and we're starting to figure out what are we going to do for 2017. I don't wait until the first quarter of next year to figure out what I'm going to do next year. I look at the end of this year and say, okay, what are we going to do? What's next year look like? And for us, next year is the year of off Amazon. So what we're doing is starting to document a lot of the things we've done off of Amazon, looking at other sales channels, looking at our own Facebook advertising, Pinterest, Instagram launches. We're looking at the students that have been in our masterminds or in our groups that are off of Amazon and pulling them in to come in and help teach people how they went multi-channel and they went off Amazon. Because if you can sell well on Etsy, and you can sell well in your own Shopify store, and you can launch products on Kickstarter, which is a great sales channel, by the way, and you can do Amazon, and you can do Sears, and you can do some Magento stores, and you can knock out Facebook marketing, and you can start to learn, and you learn how that works, you'll be prepared to move your business into a bulletproof business next year in 2017. And as you've seen, we've changed our group name from the GDW FBA group to GDW e-commerce group, because our focus is not FBA. We do FBA. I have a business that does 3PL, and we do a lot of 3PL for FBA. Again, we're not killing Amazon, but we want to expand and open up our knowledge and our partners and our students and our people who we know, our relationships, to help you guys look at how you can expand your businesses into the multi-channel, multi-sales, multi-marketing universe. We're interviewing more and more e-commerce sellers on our podcast, Ecom Shift. As you can see, we've already planned this. We knew which way we were going. So Ecom Shift is about shifting your mindset and how you're going to be moving your e-commerce business. I still think e-commerce is the greatest thing out there. I think it's the great equalizer, because it doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care where you live. It doesn't care your religion, race, sex, anything. It doesn't care. E-commerce is e-commerce. It's a commerce site out there for people who are looking to buy products that you're offering. And nobody asks where you're from when they come to buy it. To me, it's a perfect. And so what is GDW going to do? Well, we hold this Inner Circle Mastermind Intensive. Like I said, last year in December we did it, and out of the 20 people who were there, we had 18 of them that have gone within roughly 6 to 8 months from an average of $10,000 a month e-commerce to $1 million plus a year. We're looking, some of them are in the $300,000 and $400,000 a month or more range. Other ones have gone from $10,000 to $80,000 in that short of a period of time. This year, it's December 2nd through the 4th. We arrive on December 1st, and we leave December 4th, or the morning of December 5th, whichever you choose. In this mastermind, it's very, very intimate. It's not a hotel gathering place where we're going to hang out in this big hotel and have a conference and people are going to PowerPoint you to death. It's very intimate. Last year I rented an 18-bedroom house, and we all stayed in the house together. That means the coaches, the speakers, our team, and all of the attendees all stayed in the same house, and we shared bedrooms. I mean, we had 18 bedrooms. We had 27 people. And so we cover all the food. Of course, we covered the lodging. And also we went out. I mean, we worked real hard. It's a bring your laptop and go to work. And if you need to work on your pay-per-click, guess who's going to be there? Brian Johnson. So you're going to be able to sit one-on-one, and everybody gets some time one-on-one with Brian Johnson. It's business hours. For any people who've gone with me to China, I set up days where I do nothing but schedule business hour times, and you can get on my schedule and spend time with me so that I can work with you one-on-one and look at what you're doing and try to help you, guide you in the right direction. So we do a lot of work. We work very hard, but we're also going to go have some fun in Austin and some of the nightlife and do some fun things. So we want to have a good time together. It builds a great tight-knit group. That first group that ever did that with us is like a family to us, and we've all stuck together. A lot of us have grown, and our businesses have grown together, and we continue to work together and help each other out. So it's great, man. You guys just need to be there for that alone, for that camaraderie and that intense small group one-on-one coaching. That alone is worth everything to get there. It's 3 days of one-on-one coaching. Get your laptop, go to work. We had people launch products when they were there. We had people change their Amazon business and start to see instant effect. We worked with one of our superstars who's actually coming back to coach because he launched multiple products via Kickstarter and has turned Kickstarter into a sales channel, and we want him to come and teach how to do that. We have people who are selling on Etsy that are going to be there, and they're going to be teaching. We had last year we had one of our coaches was a business finance mergers and acquisitions guy, and actually he was probably one of the most popular coaches we had because he talked about how to structure your business so that you can sell it and have an exit strategy, and how to look at gaining capital so that you can grow your business. Anybody who has an e-commerce business that's growing understands that it is very capital intensive. You need to be able to have the funds to buy products to continue to grow the business, and if you don't know how to do that, man, this is the place you need to be, because we're going to have probably one of the best capital and business economics, business accounting people that I know. Vinny's going to be there. You probably could hear from him on one of our podcasts. He is friggin' smart. And this is a guy who's built businesses into the $100 million range, so he knows how to structure and set yourself up for a great exit. So great things like that. We had coaches like Brian Johnson we talked about. We're going to have coaches in how to do native commerce. We're going to have people teaching in so many different areas. We have my Facebook expert, the guy who does all my Facebook marketing for our products, is going to be there, and he's going to show you how we launch products using Facebook marketing to create groups of people and run them down a sales funnel to be able to sell products, and the structure of doing that. And that's completely off of any sales channel but our own. That's our own sales channel. So he's going to be there. He's going to talk to you. We have some really big name superstars coming to kick it off and work with us. So we're talking 7, 8, 9 figure guys that are going to come in, and they're there to coach. So you're going to be able to not just see them from a stage, but stand right next to them, sit in a room one-on-one, have a look at your business, critique it, give you some structure ideas and things like that, as well as work with everybody to talk about, you know, why certain things work, how they work, and you're going to be able to ask questions. So, you know, this is really masterminding, and it's real coaching. It's something that is worth probably more than anything else you've done with your business. So this is great for you guys in this change economy, bulletproofing your business, and learn how to make those changes in your business and what we see moving forwards, what these guys that are doing. I mean, we've got some guys coming that are $30–40 million a year e-commerce businesses, not Amazon, but e-commerce businesses, and they're going to talk to you about what they see, how they see changes in the industry as a whole, not just on Amazon, and they're going to be able to give you guys value that you would probably not get anywhere else. And I'll give you some examples. Stacey Jones was at our event last year, and she's grown her business from $15,000 a month to over $75,000 a month. She's hit the $1 million mark. She's living a great lifestyle at home. She doesn't even have to do her prep work. She can just manage her inventory, work on her sales, work on her marketing. She's building a business, and it's really cool how great it is. Stacey's going to be there. It'd be great. You can one-on-one with her, talk to her about how she's killing it on Etsy and some of the strategies that she's using. TJ has probably, TJ's great, man. I love him to death, and he is an accountant by trade, but you wouldn't know it. He is just the coolest, most laid-back dude ever, but he is smart. And he has just blown up in 2 areas. His Amazon business is killing it. His first product he launched, he hadn't even launched it when he came to this event. And the first product he launched, within the first 30 days, he did $14,000. He's expanded that product on Amazon, and he's killing it. He's launched several other products on Amazon, multiple products within brands that he's creating on Amazon, and he's blowing up Kickstarter with a clothing brand that him and his best friend are doing out of San Francisco. He's killing it, and TJ is going to come and actually talk to you guys about how Kickstarter works and how he's used external advertising, things like Instagram and Pinterest, to drive traffic to blow up his Amazon accounts and how that can work. And man, just learning how he's doing that and how we can structure that into maybe an eBay account or maybe our own e-commerce store as well as our Amazon listings. And the value there is huge. He has blown up big time, man. He's great. I'm looking forward to seeing him. But last year, he wasn't even there. I mean, he's basically barely by 10 grand a month. And most of it was like retail arbitrage. So he's really blown up in the private label area, killing it. So what is it going to take for you guys to do that? 5 grand. That's cheap, actually. Can you, considering the War Room by Ryan Dice, it costs you $25,000–$35,000 to get into that. That's, you can't even get, and they aren't going to have the type of talent we have here there when they first started. Heck, Jeff, you were part of the original War Room, right? You got me unmuted.
Sure. I was a founding member of the War Room back in 2009.
And 8 years later, Ryan Dice and his partner's company is massive. Massive. He's changing the industry because of that War Room. Well, basically, that's exactly what we're doing here. We have a War Room, and we're looking at 5 grand. But I don't need $5,000 from you now. That's not what this is about. $2,500. Come to the event. Get your plane ticket. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about a place to sleep. We're going to take care of that. Come to the event. If you think you got what I'm telling you you're going to get out of this event and you're going to get the return on of your full $5,000 investment, then pay us the $2,500 after. I'm not going to hound you. Maybe send you an email afterwards just to find out if you think you got the return on investment out of it. And if you did, pay the balance. You know, I know some of you guys are probably on the fence. I mean, it's Q4. You're being real careful with, if you're a smart business person, you're being smart about what you invest in. And sometimes that investment is investing in you and your knowledge. We can only grow our businesses to the point of the knowledge and experience we have right now. Your business will never go past that unless you expand the knowledge of business that you have right now and you gain the experience. Coming to an event like this, you're going to gain the experience of people that are so far ahead of even me. See, this is for me too, guys. This is not me for you. This is for me too. I've invited my mentors and people that are way higher than I am to come here and help coach. And guess who else they get to coach? Me. So this is for all of us, man. This is a mastermind. In a mastermind, everybody wins. So I know you're on the fence. You need to be smart. If you're a smart businessman, you be careful where you invest your money. And you want to invest your money in something that's going to help move you forward, that's going to give you a return on investment. So I'm going to offer this. I'm not going to offer this to you or pipe it. I'm just going to prove it to you. That's it. It's the prove it to you option. All you got to do is apply. It's not for everyone. You do have to fill out an application. This is not for brand new people. I'm sorry to say. It's going to be way high. It's going to be a lot more advanced. So if you're brand new and you haven't, gone on, you haven't got some sales, you aren't putting, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month online already today, it may not fit you. But you need to fill out the application and find out. So go to the GDWinc.com mastermind, fill out that application, and find out, right? And see if you qualify to be at this event. We only are going to have 20 people there. I don't want this as a big giant, pitch fest at a hotel. It's going to be 20 people. There's going to be probably 7 or 8 coaches. Look at coach per person. We're looking at like 1 person for every 2 people or less. So everybody's going to get time with everybody, and you're going to be able to really get some value out of this. So that's basically the event. That's how I structured my company to be bulletproof. It's why it's 12 years old. It's why we've been able to continue to expand and grow. My goal is to build this into a $50 million company, and I'm surrounding myself with the people who are taking their businesses there or are already there to learn. And we hope that you guys are looking for the same thing. If you are, we invite you to come and hang out. Have I missed anything, Jeff? Oh, got me on mute again.
I can't think of anything, man. One of the things that I was gonna kind of toss around with you was, there's the, a lot of people don't talk a whole lot about, people talk a lot about multiple sales channels. People don't talk as much about multiple marketing channels. And then within that, what a lot of people also don't talk about, which is interesting, I was having a conversation, as you know, with Adam. Forgive me, Adam, if you're listening. I totally forgot your last name, but love you anyways. Just met you, so I should be forgiven this one time. But we were talking about kind of, branded e-commerce and just the opportunity. Well, 2 things really. Number one, branded e-commerce. In other words, not only moving to multiple sales and marketing channels, but moving more towards branded e-commerce. Your own brands, private label. I mean, you mentioned private label, and I know we talk about that, but just how all of this is like an ecosystem. Trying to do, if you're doing arbitrage or like whatever, and then trying to move to a bunch of multiple channels doing that, it's still not a long-term business model. You really kind of have to, start eating the whole soup of this multi-channel, multi-sales and marketing channel, multi-brand. And so, kind of maybe talk about that a little bit more. And at the same time, just the sheer, I think you mentioned this in one of the emails that we sent out, or was mentioned in one of the emails we sent out, or that, last I checked, only 15% of retail was online. So that means a lot of people still go to stores, but that is constantly changing. That number is going to constantly go up. So if you look at this perfect storm right now that you've been talking about tonight, of all the changes that are happening, and then the opportunity that's there, it couldn't be and then, mixing that with building brands instead of just selling a product. I mean, the opportunity is just unbelievable right now.
You know it, and you know me too. I mean, I'm pretty adamant when people talk about building a brand on Amazon, because the reality is Amazon is the brand. When you go as a buyer to purchase something on Amazon, most of the time, unless it's a big name like Sony or Samsung or Apple or something like that, you're looking for a product, right? And So the seller isn't really the brand. No matter what name you put on that product, it doesn't necessarily help you build the brand. It does help you increase your sales volume. But by selling on multiple channels, by having your own sales channels, and you do really start to build that brand. And the way I kind of use an example to talk about how you really know whether or not you're doing it is if you go to Google and you search your brand name, and the whole first page is filled up with your brand on multiple sales channels. So if you do a search on Amazon for your brand and you see yourself on Amazon, you see on Google, in the search, you see yourself on Amazon, you see yourself on eBay, you see yourself on Sears, you see yourself on your own site multiple times on your own site after that, because usually Amazon's going to get position 1, 2, or 3, eBay's going to get up there as well. You're starting to really build it, because now when people go and they're going to, you know, other consumers are going to go and maybe do a search, try to figure out whether you're a good brand or not, to see what other people think about you. And if they look on there and they see good things and they see your product all over the place, it just builds that social proof and that trust, and it starts to build that brand, right? If you look at companies, I mean, there's a guy who won the QuickBooks Super Bowl commercial, which is Death Wish Coffee. And before that, they sold it pretty much exclusively on Amazon, and nobody knew who they were. But when they won that Super Bowl commercial, all of a sudden people know who they are. And they learned a valuable lesson, because now they're not only doing the commercials, but they also are sponsoring NASCAR, and they're doing other things that are helping them to create that brand. Brand is mind share in the consumer. Brand is McDonald's, Samsung, Sony. You don't build a brand on Amazon. You build brands by getting out there in the ecosystem everywhere, so that people see you. I mean, McDonald's is everywhere. You see a McDonald's just about everywhere in the world you go. You see their commercials in every language and just about every TV station everywhere you go. That is branding. So hopefully that kind of helped explain that my thought process is, when it comes to the just selling on a single channel, especially if it's not your channel, you really are not building that brand more than just using a sales channel to move product. Is that kind of the direction you think that you were talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And it just
Cool.
it just really comes down to, if you imagine, you know, just flows of water, streams of water. So many people right now, they're living in the deserts of New Mexico, and they have one stream of water called Amazon, and we're saying, hey, go live in the hills of Texas or whatever, where there's, multiple creeks and multiple lakes and stuff like that. And if one dries up or something happens to one, it doesn't matter. And it's not just the sales channel. It's not just the marketing channel. It's not just the private label product or vertical or whatever. It's all of it. The other thing
That's
that
exactly right.
the other thing I wanted to bring up for you to toss around a little bit is like, I know that you and I also believe a lot in the, kind of one hallway, one door. I want to make sure everybody understands that one of the things you're not saying is like, okay, you need to go sell on 50 different channels across 50 different, marketing platforms with 100 different products right now. And you kind of said it, and I just want to make sure people didn't like gloss over it, that, we're talking a whole lot about a business shift, a mindset change first, a business shift first. But, like, choose one, talk a little bit more about, like kind of like the philosophy in, you're not saying, go do 50, because you and I both know, because we've both experienced this. If you try to do 90 things at one time, none of them go.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly right.
I just
And
want
like
to
I
make
mentioned,
sure that like people understand, because this is really important. I mean, you know how important this webinar is
yep.
and this information is for people. And I don't want people to be sitting there going, "Gosh, how am I going to do Amazon and this platform and that form and do advertising on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram. That's not what we're saying. Say a little bit more like about that, and how would they maybe choose which, platform to start next or something?
Nah, good. That's a good point, man. Because you're definitely right, and I did kind of mention that earlier. Maybe definitely should, or maybe should go into it a little bit deeper. But you want to start with one. I mean, you want to start with one. If that's Amazon, if that's eBay, if that's Sears or Walmart, or your own Shopify store or Etsy or whatever that is, you choose one, and you develop your processes and become successful there. Learn how that works. Understand how your business works. Understand how to order products. Understand how to fulfill products. Understand the requirements for that business, and move forwards with that. Learn how to source your products correctly. Learn how to do those things first. Get that moving, and then once you have that moving, it can almost run on autopilot. You can do like I've done, and that's train somebody else and allow them to manage that while you build the next piece. Well, hopefully after a while, and you've done this a few times, you'll actually be able to build more than one at a time. You'll be able to manage more than one company at a time. But start with the one. Take that first step, and moving forwards. So let's say, for example, you're on Amazon right now, or you're looking to move on Amazon right now. So build your Amazon business. Go for your Amazon business. The philosophies or the processes for selling on Amazon, I brought with me from eBay. I started on eBay. And I brought those philosophies from very early days in the internet, where Google wasn't such a great search engine. and you had to understand how to phrase your search to weed out the results you didn't want. That's actually something we're going to talk about at the mastermind event. It's something I talk about in a lot of the events in China. I talk about that quite frequently, about how phrasing your keywords and structuring your title is probably one of the most important things you can do on any sales channel, because most sales channels are keyword driven, right? The search in your sales channel is based on keywords. So understand how that works. Once you can do that on one sales channel, you can repeat it again in another sales channel. The same goes if you're looking at external marketing. So let's say you have an Amazon business that's doing pretty good, and you're learning how to scale it up, and you're working on, partnering, hiring VAs, employees, whatever that process is that you're going to do to scale that. And as that business is scaling, now you may want to look at, how can I do Facebook marketing and expand my marketing reach other than just Amazon PPC? And how can I drive traffic directly to my listing and make sure it doesn't leak over into my competitors' listings? How can I, do those things, and find the people who are going to teach you how to do that and expand your knowledge in that area. So take one piece at a time and move forwards with it. Just make a decision, a business decision, on which way you feel comfortable in moving forwards in today, based on where your business is in today. I think one of the challenges, Jeff, with these kind of webinars is, we're talking to a wide audience of people who are at different skill levels. And so, we talk a lot in generalities, and, this isn't a mastermind training webinar where we're looking at, the functions of listing and how we do keyword research and how we're going to put them in and structure our titles and do that kind of stuff. That's more of a mastermind webinar. This is a general business mindset webinar, talking about what it takes to expand your business into multiple channels, why it's important to start thinking about that, and how you can potentially gain knowledge in that area if that's where you want to go in your business. How you may be able to take advantage of people who are already there or who are already in these other sales channels. That's what this webinar is about. So, we can talk about, how we can use Pinterest. Pinterest is a great resource, and Pinterest advertising is great, especially if you know and understand photography. You can use Pinterest's platform to take killer photos, lots and lots of killer photos, gain an audience, and use something from a guy named Gary, and I'll slaughter his name. I just call him Gary V, but is it Vaynerchuk?
Yeah.
Vaynerchuk?
Vaynerchuk, yep. Got
Man, you're teaching me, Jeff. You're teaching me. I mess up his last name all the time. But anyway, one of the things he did in one of his very early books was really smart. And it's something I actually had been doing, but it's called Jab Jab Right Hook is the name of the book. And if you read it, it talks about and when you market, you give content, you give away information, you give content, you give content, you give content, and then you ask for something. So you give a whole lot more than you ask for. If your marketing efforts are ask, 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 hey, I'm super cool, give me your money. I'm super cool, give me your money. Hey, check out this new product I have to sell. Buy it now. Hey, buy this thing, buy this thing. If that's what your Facebook marketing or your Pinterest marketing or your Instagram marketing looks like all the time, then you're really not going to do very well. So understanding how that giving good content that people want to consume is the most important part. And if you can do that, people will come and follow because they want the content. And then when you've given them the content and then they trust that you're going, that you're not full of crap, to be honest, pardon the French for those of you who have that challenge. Once they realize that you're not that person, that you're sincere and honest, and that you're giving good content, they're going to be more inclined to want to buy your product. So let's use the Pinterest example that we were talking about. You give great photographic content off Pinterest. So, if you're into sailboats and you give great pictures and photos of sailboats, of you sailing your sailboat in different locations all over the world, of great photos of your sailboats and other sailboats and new sailboats that are coming out, so that people that are interested in sailing want to check out your Pinterest platform, because they want to come and look at this great content that you're giving. Once you build that audience, then every once in a while, not all the time, but every once in a while, you come out and you say, hey, check it out. I just found these really good, I don't know what a sailboat part is, Jeff, so you pardon me.
a mast? A mast?
Sure,
maybe?
Let's do that.
A rudder?
So, hey, I just found these great masts, and I found a great deal on them, and I'm offering them for sale for a great price. Anybody who's interested, come click on this photo thing, and it'll take you to my store, and you can check out and get one. And the cool part is once you build out the following, some people will do it. You'll start a sales channel. You'll start the funnel, the sales funnel or the marketing funnel, which is going to allow you to drive the traffic to your shopping cart, or through your sales funnel to your shopping cart, where people will actually purchase your product. Almost the same kind of philosophy when you look at Instagram, almost the same kind of philosophy when you look at Facebook. It works better if you do that. So, we're going to outline that. My Facebook marketing guru, John, is going to be there. He's going to talk about what we do and how we use it. We're going to talk about Instagram. We're going to have other people that use Pinterest and other platforms to be able to do exactly the same thing, and how they're able to build those audiences and drive that traffic through their sales funnels and get some of those people to want to purchase stuff. So this is the type of stuff that we're talking about, and that will help you build your businesses as we move forwards. This is the kind of content that helps make things happen. So, hopefully you see, just right there alone, I gave you the process for driving Pinterest traffic into a sales funnel. Now, we didn't outline the funnel here. It would be, that's, again, another training webinar. It would be a lot of work. But if you were paying attention, I gave you the exact way to market using Pinterest to any sales channel you got. That's a marketing channel. We use the Pinterest marketing channel. We use that structure that I just gave you to drive traffic to our sales channels. And you could be building sales funnels using Infusionsoft, or you could be doing click funnels to your own to your own WordPress site with a shopping cart on the back end, like WooCommerce. You could be driving that traffic to your own Amazon listings. You could be driving that traffic to your eBay store. That is the second part of that. I mean, that's kind of the fun part. You know, people look at it and they're like, oh, it's easy, easy, easy. No, that what we talked about is just one small piece. There are still other pieces to make a complete picture. And I think I try to help people put the whole picture together when we talk about how to build our businesses. So, you know, you're driving that traffic, and now you have some type of a sales funnel where you're going to make an offer to the consumer to buy the product that they were interested in because you told them, and they trust you because you gave them great content. So that's really kind of how it works. Jeff, you think we covered that pretty good? Help people out?
I do. I really do. One of the things that I actually kind of have a little ninja tip. I hope that you're okay if I
Sure, yeah, man.
if I give it away.
We're at the end of the whole beginning of this thing. We're past that part, and now it's time for people to ask the cool questions.
Yeah.
And this is when the real learning content comes into play, and you can you can ask questions, and we can help hopefully educate you guys and build your businesses, and give you a little taste of what you're going to get if you decided to come to the mastermind.
Yeah, we it's funny, Alan, because you and I have talked. You know, we kind of do that on purpose because I've actually, I'm, as you know, I help moderate, so you can do your thing and stuff like that. And it's interesting because I'm watching the attendee rate still go up. And so for some of you that may have thought that if the content was, there's a couple of people that said something about maybe the content being a little bit lighter at the beginning or whatever. And it's so funny what you just said, because I literally typed to one of the people, well, the Q&A a lot of times is where the real, juice comes in. And we do that on purpose because inevitably most of the people show up. People are fashionably late. So most of the people show up for these webinars, 15 minutes, 30 minutes into them because, running the kid from, karate, was later, or they forgot about it. And as you know, we program a post and an email to go out right when the webinar starts saying, hey, don't forget, we're jumping on, and we get a huge influx from that because it's like, oh yeah, I forgot Alan's doing that webinar tonight. And then we have a lot of people jump on. But that's why you and I start to go back and forth about this time, or we start answering questions. But my little ninja tip is because one of the things that I know that oftentimes will come up with people for off Amazon type of Amazon does so much of the marketing for you. So I know, let's discuss the pink elephant in the room. That, well, I don't know how to write. Maybe I don't know how to write good marketing copy or, stuff like that. Well, it's funny. Again, it came up in my conversation today with Adam over at Shopify. And I said, you know what, man? Especially because of, the events, that we went to and did, Alan. And, I was at another event a few weeks ago. People are really fascinated by, what we're doing. And one of the things that I've seen is there are a lot of starving internet marketing copywriters, really, really good, not sleazy car salesman, but really good, solid, direct response copywriters. I'm telling you guys right now that if you're not a good copywriter, if you feel like you're going to have a challenge with, writing, marketing copy and marketing off Amazon, where a lot of the marketing is done for you, by Amazon. And if you do Amazon PPC and things like that, get on Craigslist, get into a internet marketing Facebook group. And I'm telling you, if you just do a post and say, I'm going to start doing some e-commerce stuff, through a Shopify store or whatever, and I'm looking for a good direct response, internet marketing copywriter, you will get swarmed. You will absolutely get bombarded. And here's the thing, because a lot of these guys are starving now, it's cheaper. We are in a spot here where two things are happening. it's less expensive now to hire a really good direct response copywriter, and they're very fascinated and intrigued by this whole e-commerce thing. They really, really are, because it's still so new for so many people. So I just kind of wanted to give that tip a little bit, really quick, Alan, because I know that is something that is kind of can be scary for people on, you know, a platform like Amazon where a lot is done for you, and that's one of the reasons why it's so great. You know, moving off of that, moving into somewhere where you do maybe have to set up some of your own pages and write some of your own copy. I'm telling you guys, there's a million internet marketing Facebook groups that'll just let you in, go in there and post, say what you need. You will get overwhelmed by really good, solid, um, you know, economical, affordable, direct response copywriters that can get you going on that.
And I'll agree with you in that aspect for sure. But being how I am. From a business perspective, I don't want to spend money until I absolutely have to. And I know there's probably a lot of other people that are going, hey man, I don't want to buy or hire a bunch of people right now. My business isn't there. So I don't, you don't. If you've come in late, we're kind of in a conversation about multi-channel marketing and how building your e-commerce also needs to be multi-channel, and that's to help create a business that is stable and that can weather the normal storms in business, or weather the change that's happening. A lot of you guys that followed us because we've done a lot on Amazon, we've done a lot on eBay, but I've always been multi-channel. And I know we talk a lot about Amazon because everybody wants to jump in to Amazon because the volume in Amazon is huge. But $1 million eBay store with 9% more profit than on Amazon is still something you don't want to throw away. Most people could live on the income on one of my eBay stores alone, live a comfortable life above the percentage of what I guess the top 10% income or the top 1% income in the United States. So if you're late, we've been kind of talking about that, but what we're talking about now is kind of more in depth, more of the how-to, more of the real guts of how we talk about being able to use Facebook to market, or Pinterest to market, or Instagram to market, and how you want to have multiple marketing channels, not just like Amazon by itself and Amazon's pay-per-click, but also other ways to drive traffic to whatever your shopping cart may be. Well, that's kind of where we're at, or what we've been talking about at this time. But I totally agree with you. At the point I'm at in my business, it doesn't make sense for me to write the copy. But let's just think not very long ago when this particular part of our business wasn't that big, and we were just getting it moving forwards, and we were doing all of our own copy, and we were doing it, and we were doing all of our own video, and we were doing all of that stuff ourselves. Matter of fact, that's funny. Jeff will probably agree with this one. The first Facebook video I did talking about the very first mastermind we did last December. We did with a camera. None of it, Jeff actually shot it. Definitely not very professional. I had pneumonia. I actually had pneumonia. I was sweating to death. I was running a fever. It was the summertime in Houston, Texas, and guys, summer in Houston is 90 degrees plus in the mid 90s with 80% humidity. So I have pneumonia. We don't have a real script. I don't know how to use a teleprompter and I still don't. We're outside and we're shooting these videos for this mastermind we're going to hold in 60 days to teach people how to do Amazon based on if you're late, you can check it out on the replay. We talk about some of the people that were last year's mastermind and how well and what they're doing now, less than a year later. And it was funny because I'm sweating, my hair looks terrible, I'm dressed up in a Superman t-shirt and jeans in a warehouse in our logistics center here at GDW. And And we put that thing together and posted it up, and we filled the mastermind in like 6 weeks or less. We filled it up and couldn't take any more people because we completely filled it up in that much time, doing what all of our peers, all the other people who were experts and they were killing it online and doing all this stuff. Basically, it was funny. Jeff showed some of those guys our video, and they said it was the worst video they had ever seen, yet it converted better than theirs. It converted extremely well. So don't be afraid to do your own copy or to write your own stuff. In the beginning, you need to do that. Right? In the beginning, you should do your own listings, and you should take your own photos or find, find other good photos through not open source. Man, now I'm trying to forget it. Just you can find good photos that they're royalty free is what I'm thinking. You can find royalty free photos that you can add to Pinterest to help gain that following that allows you to drive traffic through your sales funnel. And so, yes, if you're going to scale a business, if you're going to scale, you definitely can't do that well by yourself, because you can only scale to the amount of time you can apply to something every single day. You have 24 hours a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. So if you have to do everything in your business, you're definitely going to be limited by the amount of time you can put in it. And this doesn't matter. I mean, even as we grow, our business is exploding. And the growth it's almost unmanageable. That's how fast we're growing. And the minute I've hired 8 people in the last 6 months here, actual employees in Houston, in our warehouse, and I'm hiring more. I just ran ads to hire more people because we need to hire 2 to 3 more people, and by the end of the year I expect to have 25 employees here locally, because we can only work and we can only scale and grow our business based upon the man hours available for each person that works here. And so as you're new and you're growing your business, you're going to do a lot of stuff on your own in the beginning, but you're going to hit a point where you can't grow anymore because you're the kind of the wall. You're at the limit of the amount of time and effort you can put into it. And I kind of laugh. It's kind of like that duck on the water. You look all calm on the outside, but underneath the water, the duck's feet are just going a mile a minute to push it through the water. And that's kind of what it feels like. We're running with your hair on fire, right? It's kind of an analogy that people like to use. So your business is only going to scale to the point of time that you can put in it. And at that point, you really have to make a decision. And the decision is, in order to continue to grow my business, I either need to partner with a company that's going to help me get there. That's why GDW is doing as well as it is. Or I'm going to have to start hiring people and building out the infrastructure and the processes myself to be able to do that. Or maybe a combination of both to really get it going. The people who get there and start scaling, you start having to do that. I mean, some of our students from last year are at $300,000, $400,000 a year, and now they have 3 full-time employees and 4 or 5 VAs, virtual employees that are doing photography or Photoshop, or like you just said, Jeff, they may be doing the content for their marketing funnels. So it's don't think that you have to do these things to begin, but the things that we're talking about now are more in line with what you need to do to scale as you build your business. So anyway, hopefully that kind of these kind of things are just things that what we're trying to do is help you shift your mindset in a way that helps you understand what it takes to scale and grow a business, and then what it takes to secure that business in a way that's going to allow you to have a little bit more security, a little bit more freedom. I know, when you're building a business, I'll give you an example. Jeff, you know this one, and some people that are on here may or may not. Back when I met Jeff, When was that, Jeff?
Be 2 years ago on Halloween.
2 years ago on Halloween, I paid thousands of dollars to go to a mastermind with Jeff and several other people. And the people I met at, one of the people I met at that mastermind was Jeff. Another person I met at that mastermind through an invite of somebody else was Brian Johnson, who anybody who does any kind of pay-per-click on Amazon knows that Brian Johnson is probably the de facto expert globally on Amazon marketing. He is a mad scientist, genius. We recognize that day one. Great guy, great family man, lives in the Austin area, super smart, analytical, just, I mean, you know, he is the man, and I give him credit all the time because he is. But that's the first time I ever met him. Jeff, was that the first time you met him?
Yeah, I knew the other Brian that brought him, but I did not know Brian Johnson
Yeah,
at the time.
so we both met Brian at that point. I didn't know Jeff, but I paid to go to this war room style mastermind at the Formula One races in Austin. It was the first Formula One race, right? And we were going to do, we were doing basically like we're doing now, an intensive mastermind in a bus, in a converted bus, a mobile home, really nice, and sitting trackside at the Formula One races where we could mastermind together and we could watch the races and we could, have a little bit of fun, but at the same time work together. And that was a laptops open, here's what business looks like. And at that point, I was doing $180,000 a month in e-commerce in both eBay and Amazon. I hadn't opened any other channels yet, and that's what I was doing. And and most of the other people there weren't even close to that in e-commerce sales. They were some people were doing more in other areas, but in that particular case, it wasn't in. So the beauty of Mastermind is you don't want everybody to be doing exactly the same thing you're doing. It's good to have a variety so that you can learn from each other and build businesses, right? And so we're there, we're doing it, and I'm showing them what's up, and all of a sudden I got an email saying that one of my listings was shut off. And then all of a sudden it was multiple listings that were shut off, and I'm like, I'm in the middle of talking with Jeff and showing him what's up and showing him my numbers and how long I've been doing it, and we were just having discussions on how to build it and how to blow it past $5 million a year and how to really get past that plateau. And all of a sudden I'm getting emails and Amazon is turning off listings telling me I can no longer sell this product. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm looking, and I take my laptop back from Jeff, and I'm like, what's going on here? Things are happening, hold on. And I'm frantic going through what's going on, and I'm looking at my competitors, and they're not getting shut off. Why am I getting shut off? So, I'm opening up a seller. I'm going to sales support online, doing a chat, talking to them. What's going on? Why are you shutting me off? They're telling me I'm no longer allowed to sell this product, which was about $1.5 million a year worth of product. Half my business was this particular product. And for anybody who knows, it was the essential oils. I was selling essential oils through FBA. It was about $1 million a year in business, and it had just been completely shut off. No longer allowed to sell it via Amazon FBA. And I didn't know at the time they were just going to basically not allow anybody to sell that. But I got hold of seller support and said, why aren't my, they're telling me nobody can sell it anymore. I'm like, why are my competitors still alive? And you got me shut off. And then they turned me back on, and I thought, oh, I'm safe. Great. Averted that problem. And got back to hanging out with Jeff and stuff, and the next morning it was all gone. Not just for me, but for everyone. But I stayed at the mastermind with these guys, and we talked about business, and it was, trust me, I was bummed out. Half my business was gone in the flick of a switch because of a decision from a company that I didn't have control over had made. And at that point, I made the decision, and Jeff knows, the decision for me was to diversify my business, to have multiple sales channels, to have multiple products to sell in multiple categories, and to diversify my company into multiple revenue streams. And now here we are, 2 years later now, because it's
Yep.
almost Halloween, but
That's
it's
right.
almost Halloween. 2 years later, I'm partners with Jeff. He's the chief marketing officer for GDW. We're using the sales funnels and strategies that the internet marketers have been using for a long time to drive traffic and sell products off of Amazon. But we still have Amazon. We have eBay. We have Sears. We have our own web stores. And we're expanding all the time. We have our training and e-commerce division, our events division. We have our third-party logistics company. We've diversified and grown, and we are 10 times bigger than we were then, because I wasn't going to let Amazon shut off all my business and take away the security for my family and control my destiny anymore. And that's basically what we're talking about here. We're talking about how do we make it so that we can build our businesses so that we can sleep at night comfortably. Amazon has since shut off multiple niches that I've been in. They've shut off $1 million products more than once on me in the last 2 years. This is not the first time, and I don't expect it to be the last time that they've done that. But I can sleep a little bit better because all I know is that's a bump in the road, and all we have to do is focus a little bit and continue to do what we do, and our business continues to grow and grow and grow. And as long as we keep following the process and following the methodology of bulletproofing our business by having multiple sales channels and multiple marketing channels, there's really not much that can stop us from growing. Very, very few things short of economic meltdown globally is going to stop us from being able to continue to grow this company into something huge. That's what this is about. So hopefully, you guys are kind of getting that, and that's really, helping you understand why this is what it is and what it's about.
There was
And
an
why,
interesting, yeah, that's awesome. I love that story. And part of that story that I always found funny was that we were actually at main event bowling when you were looking at your email, and it was just like you were doing that, and it was like, hey man, it's your frame, okay, just keep right on bowling, even though $80,000 a month of my business just got shut down because you didn't worry. I mean, you're not phased by. That's one of the things I love about you is you're just really not phased by very much, obviously, unless it's something, related to the people that you love dearly, your family or whatever. But, when it comes to business or, you know, your truck or your trailers, and that's kind of an inside joke there or like whatever. It's just, it just doesn't phase you. And that's just a great mindset as an entrepreneur. um, you can't let these changes and you can't let things phase you and bring you down and cause you to have a bad attitude or, be negative or look backward instead of, forward. And you've just always been a great example of that.
you're reminding me of a couple of things. One is a saying, and that is, "Don't sweat the small stuff," and it is all small stuff. And in reality is, if you build any kind of business at all and you are the master of your own destiny from a financial and business perspective, you're going to run into challenges every day. And how you handle and deal with those challenges is really going to say a lot about you, but it's also going to really set the tone and direction of your business and how far you're going to be able to take it. I was young, 20-something-year-old when I first started in my very first company. I owned those telemarketing rooms. I was 23 years old. In Houston, I had 150 employees and was making $1 million. That's when I made my first $1 million. So, at that age, a problem like this, it definitely fazed me. After 30 years, it doesn't really faze much anymore. And so the experience of 30 years in business has really helped me understand that I can't let those things stop me, or else they're gonna stop me. The other book, there's a book, and it's Only the Paranoid Survive, and that basically, the gist of that was that, not you need to be paranoid all the time, but that you need to build a business thinking that something's going to take it away or take part of it away at any time or can take it away. And we're seeing that. It's evident. It happens all the time. So build your business thinking that part of it can be taken away at any time. So structuring it from an organizational point of view, structuring it from business marketing, a sales, a revenue stream point of view, understanding that you could lose any one revenue stream but continue to be in business. Yes, you take a hit, but it keeps going. Look at these big Wall Street companies. I mean, if we just look around us at the big corporations and the way that they run their operations, you can see that they've all pretty much structured their businesses in ways to make it so that they can weather those storms. All of a sudden the government regulates an entire segment of one of these big corporations' business completely out of business. The Mobil Oil or Marathon Oil, a huge oil company, or any of those big service organizations that service large governments or things like that. They get hit. These oil companies have been hit really big with the price of oil. Their fracking businesses have gone under, but the big companies are still doing it. The little ones are the ones who weren't prepared. They were making their money off of one thing, supporting a single part of a larger business, fracking, and maybe they supplied the liquid stuff that they pump down in the pipe to create the fracture. Maybe that's what they did, and that's all they did is that one thing. Those companies are gone. But the big companies, the ones that have multiple revenue streams, when that fracking part of their revenue stream disappeared, they took the hit. It wasn't fun. They may have had to lay some people off. But guess what? Their business still moved forwards. Their business is still moving today. They're still servicing their shareholders. They're still moving forwards. So if we take a page out of their book and we're paranoid about that, and we look at our businesses in that way, we find that we actually can put ourselves in a much better, more secure position than if we are that one trick pony that only has one product, one niche on one sales channel. That is just a recipe for a short-term business. I don't know if you watch, Jeff. Do you watch Shark Tank?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have TV, but I have Hulu, and so I'll binge watch Shark Tank, and I love watching it because there's so many lessons in business just from watching it. It's crazy, and many times people come in and they have one product and they're selling it, and that's it. But the sharks don't want to give them any money, and a lot of times the reason they tell it is because they don't have a business. They have a hobby. Or they are the business. It's just them. They have one product. They do everything. They're servicing it. They haven't structured it to grow. It can't scale. And so their investment isn't worth anything because the business isn't going to have a return. And I don't know about you, but business is hard. It takes work. It is not easy. And because of that, there needs to be some type of a return, at least in my mind. We need a return on the time, effort, and money that we put into building that company. And if we're just working and getting a little bit of cash back to make a living, in my viewpoint, we've just created another job for ourselves, and it's really not a business. And I know this because I was an IT consultant, and I made my money as a consultant for a period of time in the IT industry. One of my businesses was consulting in IT, and that led to my voice over IP company. But that consulting business was hand to mouth, and yeah, I could make a decent living when I was working, but you're always chasing the next job, and it's always relying on just you. So really, it wasn't a business. It was just a different form of a job. I had to, and the return on investment just really wasn't there.
Hey, we have there's actually a couple other questions that's some good ones. Mark asked, speaking of multi, and he heard you talking about, multiple Amazon accounts. So kind of speaking of Amazon, Mark is asking, how do you safely manage multiple seller accounts to avoid suspension?
Well, I don't think I said multiple Amazon accounts. I said multiple sales channels, which would mean, it could be one Amazon account and one eBay account and one Shopify store and one Etsy store and one Sears store and one your own web store, or it could be a whole bunch of different web stores that are just yours and with your brand and your product only. And it could be a multitude of or a variety of those. But you could potentially have multiple Amazon stores. Amazon doesn't want you to have multiple stores selling the exact same products, and you do need to ask for permission to be able to open a second store under a single company or a single person. But there's no law against you owning multiple companies and those companies each having their own Amazon store. So potentially that's a way to look at it. I wouldn't suggest selling the exact same product across all those companies, because then you're just asking for trouble. Read Amazon's terms of service and what's allowed to make that happen, and that would potentially give you more information on that. But in my particular case, I have multiple companies. There are multiple brands that are not related. They sell different products, and those companies each have their own Amazon stores.
Cool.
But good question.
Yeah.
But I think from an overall perspective of this webinar and what we're talking about, it wasn't multiple Amazon stores. It was multiple sales channels, period.
Jeffrey is asking, this is an interesting one. Do you have any tips for newbies with cash flow issues?
Man, great question, Jeffrey, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And it doesn't matter if you're new or old, you're always going to have cash flow issues, my friend. When you get your business up to a certain size and you've got $1 million in inventory sitting on the ground in a warehouse, you're still going to have cash flow issues. So managing your cash is pretty dang important. And so is it cash flow you're talking about, or just access to capital you needed to help you grow your business? Because they're different. Cash flow is about turning your product as fast as possible to get that cash flow in, to have that revenue, that cash flow. Whereas capital requirements, if you're underfunded, it's a different subject, and that has to do with not having enough capital to grow. And that's something that I know a lot about. Trust me, we've done a pretty good job and haven't had to go out a whole lot. And it was only after about 2 years that I was able to secure a line of credit through my bank, and then I was able to use that line of credit to buy product that was already selling. And I won't use, that whole using other people's money mantra that people talk. It's actually the way rich people get extremely rich. Don't spend your money, spend somebody else's. Access to capital is really cheap today. If you've got decent credit and you've got a little bit of sales history, it's not that hard to get access to capital through banks or other means. Factoring is another potential way you can get access to capital and help your cash flow problems if that's what you're having. So those are a couple of things that could help you move forward. Places like Cabbage, and with a K, and other organizations and groups are popping up that give you access to capital. But basically, a lot of those want to give you they want to take a percentage based on your cash flow. You can factor your credit card receivables and get access to that capital faster. Although I find that merchant accounts today are pretty dang fast. If you sell on terms to, maybe you're a wholesaler and you're selling on terms, net 30, 60, something like that, and you don't get paid immediately. One of the beauties of e-commerce is the money comes to you pretty dang close to immediately. But if you don't, if for some reason your business model is B2B or something like that, you can factor that as well, and the collections falls to the factoring company at that point. So those are a couple ways to make some of that stuff happen. If I understand a little bit more about which part you're talking about, we could potentially go into that more. But hopefully that gives you a couple of good ideas on doing and getting access to capital.
Yeah, that was actually, he actually chimed back in and just said access, so you already kind of gave him some ideas, but he did say that's what it was.
Yeah, if it's access to capital, if you've got good credit, you have a little bit of cash flow because you have a business, maybe you're doing $10,000, $15,000 a month, and you've been doing it for a little bit, 6 months, 12 months is usually really good. If you got a couple of years under you, you're even better. And then you can look at going to a bank. I'll tell you, the more money you try to get, generally when you go to a bank and you ask for a line of credit, they're gonna, you can say, hey, I'm looking for a line of credit. What do you have? And they're gonna ask you, how much money do you want? How big of a line are you looking for? And what you might want to ask them is like, well, where do you apply? What's your normal position on a line of credit? And they may let you know that, hey, they do anything from $25,000 to $500,000 or $250,000, whatever that may be. If you go for the smallest or a very small amount, it's a lot less stringent than if you're trying to go after the larger amounts. Because if you're trying to get a $500,000 line of credit, they're going to want 6 years of tax back. And I'm being a little facetious, but they're going to ask for your tax returns, and they're going to look at your P&L statements. They're going to really, really scrutinize you a lot more than if you're asking for the lower amounts. And if you're really new, that may actually be a lot easier way to get access to some of that capital. So hopefully that helps. What else we got, Jeff?
Yeah, we have and I mean, I know the answer to this, but Ed is asking. It looks like he's a Wall Street guy, and looks like some things are going to change to where he didn't really say this, but he said there will be a big hit in employment ranks due to more government regulation. AKA, we could kind of interpret that for whatever we want. But, Ed's basically, saying he's pretty motivated. Do our services come with an advisory service to help them get started?
Okay, well that's cool. I mean, that's cool. I mean, he's basically kind of looking at next year and thinking that 2017 is going to be a pretty bad time for people who are employed by some of the larger companies and things like that. I think he's right. The more the government regulates and the more they tax and make companies charge more, the companies have to look at their businesses and structure them in ways to keep them profitable for their shareholders. So usually generally the first thing that happens is layoffs. So I can definitely sympathize with him on that end. The mastermind really kind of is that advisory service. If we look at it that way. So this mastermind is about, helping you understand how to build that e-commerce business in multiple channels with multiple disciplines through multiple marketing channels. So I think that's a good step. One of the things people ask me is if I had to do this again and I only had, $5,000, what would I do? And I told them, I said, I'd go find me a mentor, a good one that was intelligent and that understood business, and I'd give them the $5,000 to teach me and help me move forwards, and then I'd model my business after what I had been taught and build it again. Because it's, if you, again, 30 years I've bashed my head against the wall and been bloodied in the wars of business many times. And so, it's a whole lot easier. I mean, it's one of the reasons I went to Jeff's mastermind, is because I was looking for those mentors to help me not have to go through and bloody myself in the battles of business and be able to move myself past the plateau I was currently at in my company. And trust me, it's been the best I think it was $5,000. It was the best $5,000 I ever spent, because in 2 years I'm 10 times bigger than I was when I first met Jeff, and we first started changing our business model and building the company in the form and fashion that we're talking about right now. So it was the best $5,000 I had ever spent, and it's definitely paid dividends multiple times. So that's probably what I would do. But this is definitely, one of those type of events. The other cool part is that if you do come to the mastermind, you become part of our Facebook mastermind group, And then you have access to all the people who were at the mastermind, all the people who were at our previous mastermind. A lot of the coaches are in the mastermind group. So you have access to those people, not just one time in that coaching event, but throughout the year. You can be like, hey, Brian, guess what, man? Remember, I'm at the mastermind. You looked at my business. Here's what's happening. I took your advice. Here's what's going on. And here's the next roadblock I'm running into. What would you suggest I do to get past it? And, you know, you can get an answer and help you make that happen. So that's definitely a good way to do that and make those things happen. You know, and then at that point, you know, what's happening is we're kind of all mentoring each other. And it really, you know, you could find a single mentor and pay them 15, 20, 25 grand. I mean, I know my time right now is so valuable that there's no way I could mentor one person one-on-one very well. I mean, it would be sporadic in small little bits just because of my time. But when we do something like a mastermind, you have access to multiple people, and multiple people in multiple disciplines in business really gives you a leg up. Some of the best mastermind groups that I've been involved in aren't single, what would that be? I'm trying to think of the word. Not single discipline masterminds. Like, not everybody is an Amazon seller. Some of the best masterminds I've been in are ones where you have people who are in banking, and you have people who are in insurance, and you have people who are in e-commerce, and you have people who are in retail sales, and you have people who are in manufacturing, and you have all these different people in disciplines, because you learn so much more. And that's the beauty of this mastermind, is we have, and I try to bring in people from many different segments and different disciplines in business. And so if I was looking to do something like that, I think that would be a really good place to put your to plant your flag, so to say.
Very cool. Yeah, and Vinny is going to be talking about, you know, Jeffrey kind of popped up here again about, you know, some of the capital stuff and everything. And Vinny, you know, is going to be at the mastermind and going to be able to talk a lot about stuff like that. But Jeffrey's asking, it's interesting follow-up, you know, besides, you know, lines of credit, things like that. If you ever pursue other streams like retail arbitrage to grow your e-commerce business, you know, any of the things that you've done to kind of, you know, build capital?
Yeah, actually, Jeffrey, that's a good one. I mean, I think I talked a little bit about it in the very beginning of this webinar, how, you know, this company, which was originally called Gadget Deals Wholesale, and that was the retail store was called Gadget Deals, that we were basically liquidating retail stores and reselling that product through the store and also through our eBay store. And so, you know, if the beauty of that business is I'm selling other people's brands, so I really wasn't building a brand of my own, but it did help me to build cash. And when you look at retail arbitrage, or you look at buying wholesale and reselling wholesale products or things like that, you're not really building a brand, but it is a way to do quick flips of product that people want to buy, and build up your cash reserves. You know, I tell the story on how the retail store took that hit in 08, 09, and it was really painful because my debt service was, you know, I think we were $25,000+ a month for a little teeny retail store, and you know, plus I had the employee costs, and I had rent, and I had utilities and all that other stuff. So, you know, my monthly note just to keep from going bankrupt was quite a bit. And the challenge is that the retail industry was getting hit really hard, and sales just fell off and went away. Bad, because I think the nation had a challenge with the economy, and when that happens and people are wondering what's going on, people stop spending money, right? And so it was kind of a challenge for us at that time, and I was having a hard time keeping, you know, paying off my debt service to keep the creditors at bay from coming after me. And what I did was I borrowed $8 grand from a friend and said, hey, I'm going 100% online. I need a little bit of cash to be able to get some product, to buy inventory, so that I can place it online and sell it. And the person trusted me enough to do it, and I negotiated a deal, and I paid him $16,000 in 90 days. That was the deal. I would pay him back as soon as possible, and I would double his money. I think he gave me 6 months, but we did it faster than that. Actually, I mean, he was really cool. He would have probably given me a year, but I didn't want to, sit on that forever. But he gave me $8,000, and with that first $8,000, I bought $8,000 worth of wholesale product, and I put it online and sold it. And that's how I was able to do it. And I just kept flipping that money over and over and over again until my capital was at a point where I felt comfortable starting to launch my own private label products, because private label isn't cheap, and if you're underfunded, you're going to put yourself in a bad position trying to build a brand and trying to build your own product. That costs money. It's not, there are very few stories of people who had $500 and built this giant private label and now they're multi-gazillionaires. That just doesn't really happen very often, if at all, to be honest. We used to laugh because there were so many people who were saying, for $500 you buy a couple of products out of China, you put them online, you sell them, and if it does good, you buy a little bit more and then you sell those, and then you buy a little bit more and you sell those. That's long and painful, and you could probably do it, but 2 years later you may be able to get that product. As fast as business cycles and product cycles and the competition enters the market today, if you did that by the time you got your product moving and had enough capital to really start to support it, that's taking into account you didn't have to take any money out to live, then what you'd probably end up is you'd probably have like 50 competitors or more already in that space, and someone who's capitalized better than you are would take a lion's share of that market. So I think that's a good idea to look at, potentially if you're underfunded and you don't have access to capital, maybe doing something like that. To get you to a point where you can get the capital you need to start your own private label brand.
Cool. Tim has a question about the mastermind specifically. Does someone go through my products and listings with me?
Tim, last year, yeah. I mean, you had access to each of the coaches for quite a bit of time. I think, did we do 1 hour? What was the rotation? 1 hour rotations?
It was at least 45 minutes, if not an hour, doing individual stuff.
And you got to rotate and be with each of those coaches more than once. I mean,
Right.
Again, there were 7 coaches at the event last year, and there were 20 people. And we were there for 3 days together. And we worked from first thing in the morning, breakfast. Right after breakfast, it got started. Of course, there was masterminding and talk about business during meals, of course, but the real work started happening right after breakfast, and it ran all the way through till dinner. And then, of course, we were masterminding at dinner together. And then after that, we would look at, going out and having some fun at least 1 or 2 out of the 3 nights. So, it is very intensive, and we do look at last year, of course, we looked at products. You could, look at talking to Brian Johnson and have him look at your pay-per-click campaign. You could look at with myself or with Chad Annis, who was there. Myself, Ryan Moran came and did our keynote. He talked a lot about organizational structure and building a real business and how your business needs to be structured. He did a great job, man. He killed it in opening it up and really talking about what a real business was. And so, yeah, I'd say yes, you would have availability for someone to help you throughout the 3 days and look at your products, look at your listings, look at your pay-per-click, and kind of give you some pointers, ideas, and that'll also be things that we'll talk about throughout the event, as well as other ways to list products, other sales channels, and other marketing and other strategic advantages. So good question. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ed was asking, I guess Ed came on a little bit late. Can you go back one more slide, Alan, and just kind of recap kind of how we're doing the
I can do that.
do the cost and and stuff like that?
All right, so basically we do a mastermind every year in December. It's a planning event to plan out the next year. And what I do is I bring in coaches from in different areas, banking, finance, different sales channels, online marketing, things like that. And what we do is look at strategizing how we're going to build our businesses the following year. What kind of things can we do, not only throughout the year, but even things that we can do right then to change the way we look at scaling, building, and monetizing our businesses. So the way the event works is pretty simple. We all stay in a house. I rented an 18-bedroom house last year. We catered all the meals in, so we weren't all spread out. We ate together. We worked together all day. And this year, same thing, basically the same thing. And we're going to do it. It's $5,000. And I feel so confident because of how well it went last year and because this format works so well that if you just put down $2,500 now, you don't have to put any more money. Come to the event, go through the event, go through all the training, get all the coaching, get everything else, and if you don't think you're getting a return on investment, you don't have to pay the extra $2,500. But if after that event, we're going to come back and say, hey, man, was it worth the money? And if you say, yeah, this is definitely worth the money, there's a value here in return on investment, then you can pay the other $2,500. It's that simple. I don't, like I said, out of the 20 people who came last year, 18 of them are $1 million plus e-commerce sellers today. And most of them were about 10 grand a month, which is $120,000 a year. So we're talking about 10x growth in less than a year based upon the strategies on scaling, because last year we talked about scaling. This year we're going to go over scaling, but we're going to talk about not only scaling, but we're going to talk about solidifying and bulletproofing your business as well. We want to expand upon not just scaling, but also how to structure it, build it, and make it happen. So hopefully that helps you out and answers that for you, Ed. It was a killer event last year. I expect it to be better than last year. I like to make things better. Every time we do something, we try to improve upon it from the previous event. Every time we have an event, we take feedback from the people who attended it. We look at the things that we can make adjustments and changes on, and we make those adjustments and changes. It's how I build my companies. It's how I build my products. It's how I do it. It's the Scrum model. It's agile business development. To steal a phrase from agile programming or agile application development or Scrum or the Scrum model, I actually use that model across my entire business, and that's really what we're at. So
cool. Jeffrey's back. He's funny. Sorry for asking so many questions. That's what this section's for, Jeffrey. That's why we do this. But he's asking, how many units do you usually purchase from your supplier in your private label invoice? My 2 products on Amazon sell roughly 10 units each a day. Just curious how you would approach it if you had a product like this.
That's actually a really good question, man. Jeffrey, that's a great question. And it kind of leads back to that cash flow question that you had too, and I'll kind of point that out and show you the way I think about that. One is if you buy a lot of product, say if you're doing 10 sales a day, you're doing, let's just say, roughly 300 sales a month, right? 30 days a month on average, 10 units a day, 300 units a month. So if you buy, if you have to buy 3,000 or 4,000 units, you've now got 6 months plus inventory on the ground, and you're limiting the access to capital that you need to be able to launch more products and expand your business. So for me, I only want 45 days to 60 days worth of inventory at any one time, and I use that based upon how how I look at my manufacturing lead time, I look at my shipping lead time, and I look at my product prepping or packaging or whatever. So I look at the lead times to get my product manufactured, shipped, and ready for retail. And when we know how long that is, we can determine how much product we have to buy to make sure that we don't run out of inventory, because that's the cardinal sin, right? If you've ever been in e-commerce, or if you're in e-commerce for any period of time, you'll realize real quickly that the cardinal sin is to run out of inventory. So if it's a product I'm already selling, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to look at that, and then I'm also going to look at my growth model. So I track and trend my business over time, and I want to look and see how my products are developing as well as my business overall. And so let's just say I have an 8% growth, and I'm just going to use that as 8% per month, because I've actually got products that do that, which is doubling every year, by the way. A 96% per year growth, almost 100% growth on the product every single year. If I'm doing 8% per month growth increase, then what I would do was I'd have 60 days worth of inventory, but I would take that 8% increase in account and make sure that I ordered an 8% over the top of that to cover my growth. And I would also ship it the cheapest and slowest method possible, because you win on the buy. And if you're paying exorbitant amounts for shipping, you're paying more for your product, your landed cost is higher, and you're losing. Because you know, if I can come in and buy it for less than you, I can sell it for less than you, and I can keep the same kind of return on investment, or I can have a better return on investment, which capitalizes me better and allows me to continue to grow my business. I don't want to be the cheapest person in the house, but if I can buy it at a better price and pay less for it, I'm going to win. That's basically how I would do that. Now, if I was launching a brand new product, I'd have to do market research and determine what the market is, estimate what I think my normal sales are going to be, and use the same methodology, but based on estimates after doing market research. So in a very quick, high-level point, that's how I would make those determinations on what I need to buy. In your case, if you're selling 10 units a day, am I at the top of the market? Is there room for me to grow and expand, and can I increase that to 20 units a day? Can I increase that to 40, 50, 100 units a day? What do I need to do to increase that? How much more is it going to cost me to do that? Where am I going to have to spend capital to do that increase? And what are the numbers going to cost me based upon what my numbers are today and what my potential numbers are going to be as I grow and expand? Am I going to get a better discount on price? Is scaling going to give me better pricing, or is it going to cost me more? I have actually run into it where growing actually ends up costing you more money, and a lot of people don't think about that, because you have to support more, you need to hire more people, you need to pay more for services. So you have to take that into account. So that's the 2-minute pitch on your question, but hopefully you got some good info out of that one.
Yeah, he says thanks a lot. So yeah, that was good stuff as always, man. Ed's asking, do I need to be selling online today for the mastermind to be most effective for me?
And to be honest, yes. If you're not selling online today and you're not doing any revenue, we're going to start. What ends up happening is we'll start talking. There'll be a lot of conversation around you about areas that you're not in yet, and they may start talking. And potentially, you'll definitely you'll definitely learn, because just through osmosis alone, you're going to learn, but a lot of it will go past you, and I wouldn't want that to happen. If you have a business background, though, and you've been around for a while, you'll probably get up to speed a lot faster. So that's one of the reasons why we ask you to fill out the questionnaire, the application, is to really look at your experience as a whole. I'll be honest, it really, it's a plus to already be selling online, and it's a plus to have a little bit of volume. Like I said, last year, the minimum was 10 grand a month, $100,000 a year, roughly 120 a year, and that was kind of the minimum last year, so that people got the most out of it, and they really did. But I mean, again, if you have grown large corporations, you've run $50 million corporations, and you have overall better knowledge of large-scale business than most brand new e-commerce sellers, that could definitely be a consideration in your favor, and put you in a position that we think that you're going to get value out of it. I mean, really, the goal is to get value. I'm making a promise here. I'm saying, hey, don't pay me all the money because you're going to get value out of it. I don't want to have somebody who's not going to get the value out of it come. I mean, it isn't good for you, and I'm not here just to take your money. That's just not the goal here. You know, GDW is a 3PL, and really, we make our money through helping people grow their business, not through events. And the event is not a pitch fest for other services, so you won't be hearing that kind of stuff there either. Matter of fact, it's kind of a faux pas and against the rules. We don't allow coaches to try to sell other products, and nobody gets up and tries to pitch their next greatest best thing or anything else at this event. This is a coaching event, not a sales fest. And I'll lay that one out right away. I probably should have said that one earlier, Jeff, because we made sure that last year that's exactly what it was. All the coaches and everybody knew that that was what it was, and we did none of it. There's no back-end sales. There's no come and pay for this more expensive, whatever the hell it is, to really get yourself to the next level, kind of like some crazy multi-level marketing deal. That's not what this is. This is a real coaching event mastermind, and it is amazing. So I should have laid that out earlier. Remind me if we do this again that we put that up front. Coolness. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. That's what it's about. You guys have had some really great questions, man. Jeff, Ed,
yeah.
You guys really have great questions. We definitely appreciate it. If anybody else has got any other questions, man, we'd like to make that happen for you guys. We definitely we do make this available via a recording, so you'll be able to go back through it. Jeff tells me all the time that I throw out nuggets all over the place, and I don't. And I don't realize it, and it's probably because after 30 years, you kind of some of this stuff you're not really. I have to try to put myself in the position of a brand spanking new person without 30 years experience a lot of the time. Sometimes it's a little bit harder than others, especially when you ask. Some of these questions are great. Ed and Jeff and the rest of you guys have done a lot. So don't want you to think that I'm glossing over a lot of this. Sometimes I'm really just not even thinking about it. But if you go back and listen to the replays and stuff, hopefully you'll even get more out of it and be able to go back and say, oh, dang, there was something I completely missed, last time to make it happen.
Yeah, very cool. We're just getting a lot of thank yous. Jeff is one of them. Jeff and Ed, saying thank you, and I know you would say as well. Thank you guys. Without the great questions and things like that, these quote unquote epic Q&As that we have, wouldn't exist. So yeah. I know. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and we have a couple of new people. I mean, it's pretty evident we probably have a couple of new people who haven't had a lot of experience, and this mastermind event may actually not be good for you. But I will tell you something that we do through GDW, and that is we do the winning on the. I talked about it earlier. It's called winning on the buy, and it's a strategy for buying products, being able to source and buy products correctly, or in a probably a more sorry, the word I'm losing the word I want to use there, but when you're sourcing and you're just starting out and you're buying products, one of the things that can help you is understanding the methodology of winning on the buy. And I'll go over that real quick to kind of help some of you guys since you're a little bit new. I think this will probably help you moving forwards. And maybe if you're not ready for this year's mastermind, you'll be ready for next year's mastermind. Or maybe you'll want to go on one of our sourcing trips or something like that. The winning on the buy methodology has to deal with meat and competition. And you know, nothing that's being sold online today is new. And I'll tell you right away that I am not afraid in competition, and I will sell in the most crowded, competitive markets. I'm looking for products that people want to buy and that there's a market for, and that I can provide a product for them in. So we're just going to use my world-famous example of toothpicks. Now, you guys, you know, a lot of people are thinking about selling online and are looking for the perfect product. And the perfect product is not the shiny object that you want. It's the product that the consumer wants. So being able to research products is cool. But being able to research markets and what consumers want to buy is the key. So once you're able to research a market, say for example toothpicks, that's a product that's been around for thousands of years. It's not new. Most of them are made of wood, but there's been some improvements, and there's lots of people that manufacture and sell them. But there's also a very large market for that product. So if you were to source a product like that at the right price and launch it, consumers would be willing to buy because it's something they buy, like toilet paper. The key to entering a market like that is sourcing the product. If you're not sourcing the it up on the board, maybe we can add that. But if you can follow along with me, let's say you go and you do the online sourcing methodology that a lot of gurus teach, and that is to go on Amazon or go on Alibaba or one of the sourcing sites and find a manufacturer who manufactures that product and then negotiate that with them back and back through Skype or QQ or email or whatever, back and forth, and negotiate minimum order quantities and price. And you settle on a price, and then I'm just going to, this is not the actual number, but I'm just going to use it for to represent the winning on the buy methodology. You source that product for $1. So it costs you $1 for a little tub of toothpicks that you're going to sell online. So you pay them $1 and they want you to buy 1,000 units. That's their minimum order. So now you're going to buy those products for $1,000, right? No, not right. You're going to buy those products from them for $1,000, but then you're going to have to ship them. And if you ship them via express mail, you're going to pay $1. Let's just say through Express, you're going to pay $2 a unit. Express, that's like DHL, FedEx Express, you know, that almost overnight stuff. Door-to-door, overnight express shipping. So now that product really costs you $3. Then you're going to pay duties and taxes on it because I don't know where you're at in the world, and a lot of you guys are in different places. It may be VAT. But your government wants a cut of the money. So they're going to ask for it and you're going to pay for it. So now you've got, let's just say, you know, they want 10%, so now you got 30 cents in taxes on it, so now it's $3.30 for you to get that product. And then you need to ship it to your location, and then you need to prepare it for retail and get it out the door. And let's say that adds another $1. So now you got $4.30 per unit. You got $4,330, right? I think that's right. Sorry, it's a little bit late, but generally I can do math in my head pretty well. But let's say you got $4,330 in it to get started. You haven't even spent a dime on marketing. You haven't listed the product online. You haven't done anything, and you're already in for $4,330 or $4.30. Oh man, I actually was $4,033, wasn't it? Okay, so you got $4,300 in it, and you got $4.30 a unit. Are we following along? So now, there's a pricing methodology that retailers use, and it's called keystone pricing. So when you take the landed cost of a product, $4.30, and you go to sell it wholesale, you need to double your landed cost. $8.60 would be the wholesale selling price on that product if you follow the keystone pricing. I find that that's an excellent pricing model, and it's been around for a long time. It works very well. If you're going to retail the product, you take the wholesale price and you double that. Or you're at, wholesale would be $8.60, so retail would be what? $17.20. So to sell that product using the keystone pricing method, you need to sell it for $17.20. Now, I go to China in one of my direct sourcing. I go and find the manufacturer's toothpicks. Because I'm there face-to-face with him, I'm able to negotiate a little bit better than you can. One, he takes me seriously. I'm not just some guy online via an email or whatever that he doesn't know. So I'm going to buy that same 1,000 units, but he's going to give them to me for 50 cents a unit. So I'm already I'm half the price that you paid up front. I'm going to ship mine ocean. It's going to take 30 days to ship, so it's going to take a little bit longer, but I'm going to take that into account, and I'm going to buy enough product based upon my market research that I've done and an understanding of what I estimate my monthly sales are going to be. I'm going to take that into account, look at my lead times, and I'm going to buy enough product to last me 60 days up front. That's all I'm going to buy. I'm not going to buy more, and I'm not going to buy less. But for the sake of the argument, I'm going to buy the same 1,000 units you bought at 50 cents a piece. Now I paid $500 for those. I'm going to ship it ocean instead of express, and it's going to cost me 10 cents a unit. So now it cost me 60 cents. I'm going to pay that same exact 30 cents that you paid. Well, actually, I'm going to pay less because I bought it for less, so my taxes are going to be less. I'm going to pay 15 cents a unit in taxes or VAT using the same pricing that it would cost you. So it's 15 cents. So now I'm 75 cents is what it cost me landed in the U.S. If I follow the same keystone pricing method, I can sell my same product for $3 a unit. I'm making the exact same return on my money that you're making, but I won on the buy. I can sell it for less than you can. Even you can't discount and come close to me because you're $4.30 landed. I can sell it for $3 and 300% profit. My money back plus 300% profit. That's not exact because you're going to have other costs out of it, but just following along, you see how that can really make you go a lot farther. Winning on the buy is extremely important when you look at building an e-commerce business. So if you're brand new, I look at some of the stuff that we do on the winning on the buy and sourcing our products, understanding a better methodology for sourcing and a better understanding of how to do that. I maybe schedule a trip going to China. You could go with us where we'll actually take you through that, and we'll walk you through it, introduce you to people, and we handle all the logistics. So there's some benefit to that. So, I mean, if you're brand new and you're not really ready for this mastermind, then maybe looking at how to learn how to source, how to learn how to do that market research and have an understanding of what the sales volume is going to be so you understand what you need to spend your capital on. Jeff, when you talked about spending your capital and I told you making sure that you don't buy too much, not buying 6 months or a year's worth of inventory sitting on the ground is important, this is part of that, man. It'll probably help you out. Okay, so understanding that, learning how to make those decisions and how to do market research to figure out what the market looks like, how to look at trends in markets, how to look at trends in products, how to understand whether it's what I call an evergreen product or it's a seasonal product or just a fad, and understanding buying methodologies for all of those types of products. That's the kind of stuff that if you're brand new, you really want to go and you want to learn. And then take that information and put action behind it and build your business, and you'd be really surprised at what you can make happen. So hopefully I helped you guys out that are new, that probably didn't, haven't got a business moving yet on what's up. And for those of you that do have a business and you're starting to move and you're ready to learn how to scale it and how to make it bulletproof and how to really expand your sales channels and your marketing channels, then the mastermind is probably something that's going to fit you a lot better. from that aspect. But those are, that's the event side. That's the event side of our company, and that's really what we do. We do these mastermind events like this one with coaching, and then we do the events that teach you how to win on the buy, source, determine market research, understand how to launch products and things like that, which is more inclined and fits probably more in the new person space. So hopefully that helps you guys out, man. We definitely appreciate it. Any more good questions, Jeff?
I think we're good, man. I think we can wrap it up.
Nice. Not a problem, buddy. We appreciate your time, gang. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Maybe now you see why these massive Q&As at the end really have more meat in them than the front end, where, I don't know about you, but I hate death by PowerPoint myself, so I tend to speed through that and make them pretty short, because I really enjoy this aspect of the training and this aspect of doing these a lot more than I like that front end stuff. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. We appreciate your time. Your time is valuable, man, and it's something you can't get back, so we appreciate you hanging with us. For those of you that hang for the whole thing, we definitely appreciate you on the out one. You guys have a great night, and hopefully you guys are getting up at 6 a.m. ready to hit the ground running and make it all happen. So have a good night. Jeff, close her out, buddy.
Absolutely. Second everything Alan said. Thank you guys very much. Thank you for the questions. Like we said before, that makes this, the last hour and a half or so just absolutely fabulous. We have such a great, engaged family in our group on these webinars. And so, we obviously couldn't do that without you. You're a big part of the family. So really appreciate that. If you want to check out the mastermind, you just want to apply, see if you'll be a fit, things like that, you can go to the link on the screen, gdwinc.com/mastermind. We'd love to have you. And if
they want to check out the next China trip, you want to give them the link for that one?
Yeah, so the China is gdwinc.com, just like it's there on the screen, except /China. gdwinc.com/China, and we're going January 8th through the 14th of 2017. If you feel like that's the better route for you. So we got lots of ways you can get going more, beginning, intermediate, advanced. We try to cater to everybody in some way, shape, or form, but keeping it high quality, high level, and things like that. Also, one other thing as we shut this down, many of you have asked, yes, there will be a recording posted of this. Watch your email. If you're on our email subscriber list, watch the GDW Ecommerce Facebook group. If you're in the group, if you are in the list and on the group, then you'll get a couple of notifications about it. So if you want to go back and listen to this again, or certain parts you might have missed, or you came on late or something like that, you will be able to do that. We'll make that happen for you. Anyways, wherever you are, have a great night. Have a great go back to bed because you stayed up really late. Have a great morning, great day. Really appreciate you, and we will talk to you again really soon. Hope to see you at the mastermind or on an upcoming trip, and we'll definitely see you in the group and on future webinars. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
And Jeff, good night, man. Good night, and have a good one, buddy.
All right, bud. See you later, bud.
Yeah, no, bye.
All right, bye-bye.